Good morning. So I've always been deeply moved by the last night of Socrates' life as represented in Plato's dialogue, the Apology, right? So the represents the narrative around uh, what Socrates did after he'd been condemned, and the following dawn would be executed. So in the Apology, Socrates is surrounded by his friends and his students, and is speaking about uh, he's speaking about death and mortality, and he's speaking about how he is approaching that moment. Um, a while back, years ago, when I was doing a podcast, um, like an audio podcast, I asked, like, what would I want? What would I want if I knew that at dawn I was going to drink hemlock? And I said at the time I'd like to have a nice big glass of sparkling Perrier, ice cold, and listen to Mahler's Third Symphony. And um, and I still think that uh, that would be a if they could mix my hemlock in with sparkling water, that would be good. But I've been thinking more about what it is to be prepared. Right, this is a Stoic exercise, to actually imagine yourself dead and to work back from there, um, and let that guide what we do so that we can reach that moment with no regrets and possibly even with some level of equanimity or anticipation, depending on what you think happens next. And it is all supposition, right? Uh, and there's tons of things like Mahler and Perrier, like things you'd like to be surrounded by, people I'd like to be surrounded by. Those are, but uh, there's a there's a sensation underneath that. Like, it would do me no good to be surrounded by my wife and daughter if I'm not present. And that presence is, to me, the reason why I practice. I practice meditation. I practice contemplation. I write. I think so that I can understand better the moment, so that when it becomes apparent that it's my last moment, I can approach it uh, with this sense of presence, and I can appreciate the people around me, in that instant. So I came up with a slogan as to how to approach your last moment alive, how to approach my last moment alive. And there are three words, and don't laugh, but there's thought behind each of these: hydrated, lean, and sober. So let's talk about each of those. So hydration. I've uh, I've been drinking more water, and it's been life changing. I mean, I've been drinking a lot more water. I drink a gallon of water a day. This was a physical exercise program I was doing, and part of that program was drink a gallon of water a day. Well, a gallon is a lot. 128 ounces. It's over 3 liters. Uh, and before doing this exercise, this practice routine, I probably drank a tenth of that, maybe 20 ounces. Maybe one of these first thing in the morning. This is maybe 12 ounces. Um, and that volume of water, uh, if you haven't tried it, just try it. All I can say is being hydrated, being fluid, and nourished, you know, is it was life changing, and I want to keep that sense with me. What happens is a lot of the aches and pains that I have, subsided. Not everything. Some things are just the function of getting old, but a lot of things that were troubling me, like tension headaches and back pains, I think were really just low-grade dehydration. Water. Nothing in it, just water. Try it. So, hydrated. I want to maintain that sense of um, like there's another word I'm looking for and I can't think of it. That's why I chose the word hydrated. I want to be hydrated. Then I want to be lean. Well, what does that mean? It doesn't mean necessarily that I want to look like I've been out working out in the gym. I want to feel lean, which means I want to feel moderate. I don't want to be digesting a heavy meal, so I would not choose to have a large last meal if I was being executed, or if I knew that dawn was my last moment. I would probably fast, right? Because fasting and hydration, fasting, I don't mean here eating nothing. I mean eating modestly, moderately. But I also mean with that word lean, I mean the input into my mind, right? The ideas, the content. I don't want to be buffeted by media. I want my mind and my body to be lean, to be free from manipulation. That's what I mean by lean, whether that's manipulation from poor diet, physical food, or manipulation from overwhelming internal input. So kind of a controlled interface in terms of what is coming in. So hydrated, because that gives me this sense of literally fluidity, but ease. And then lean, meaning that I am not inundated with crap, whether that's food or ideas. Right? And then third, sober. Because none of that matters if I'm drunk. I mean, in this case, I literally mean alcohol drunk, but it could mean carried away by any potent distraction or emotion of some kind. But for me, it refers specifically to not drink, which I don't anymore. It's been nearly 3 years. And that's important. I would not want to die intoxicated, because I would not be able to be present for the people around me and for the experience. And so the first two, the hydration and the lean, is sort of how I am manifesting, and sober is how I'm able to freely, like properly, openly interact from an authentic place. With those three in place, I would feel like I have a foundation to then participate fully in whether it's dialogue with my loved ones, with my family, or prayer and contemplation. This is a thought experiment, right? It's like I'm in an Athenian jail where I'm allowed to be surrounded by friends and family, and I know that at dawn I'm going to be asked to drink hemlock. We don't know any of that, right? It could happen as soon as I finish this video. So, with those goals in mind, with those aspirations in mind, then each moment should be hydrated, lean, and sober. And that's achievable to some degree or another, right? The level of discipline and practice leads to the cultivation of that of that state of mind, which is why I choose to practice, why I think practice is an essential part of life, because I think that a key part of life is preparing for the end of it. And I'm not saying that, I know no one's taking it this way, but don't take that as being a morbid, anxious thought. It's part of the practice to recognize that we are finite, and with sufficient blessings, that's way off in the future after a long, fruitful, exciting, creative life. But none of that is guaranteed. And it would be a shame if, when that moment happens, I had a headache because I was dehydrated. I was bloated because I'd spent an evening eating, 6 pizzas and scrolling through Facebook for 4 hours. And if I was intoxicated, if I'd drunk a bottle of wild turkey. So I'm not doing any, to the best of my ability. I do none of those things. Pretty good with the sobriety. I do tend to overeat. And I don't always drink enough water. But so that's how I'm thinking about those kinds of questions. I think they're important. I think just to wrap up, it's what drives my practice, to be present in the moment now, with the understanding that this is potentially the last, and using that as a teaching tool, as a prompt, as a prod to cultivate wholesome action. Right? Hydrated, lean, sober. What are your 3 words? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. You could have more than 3, but try and limit it to 3. It could be fewer than 3. It could be 1. Try not to have 10, because you want to be able to bang them out like that. All right, good. Thank you all. Keep your wits about you.